Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, February the 3rd. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. We got Matt Robinson here for his final pre-Olympic break appearance on the show as well, ready to break down this Tuesday NHL slate with 3 days of NHL action left. Obviously, before the NHL break begins, we have 7 games on tap tonight in NHL action, and we also have a big night ahead because it is our first and it is our only Betcast in the month of February, just because of the way the schedule is. Obviously, no NHL can't have Betcast, so this is our only one here in the month of February, but it is tonight. It is at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We're very much looking forward to it. Make sure you DM or email either me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. But if you're new to the Betcast, you haven't checked it out yet, haven't joined us for any of them in the past, it's never too late to start. It's a lot of fun. We just, bring on a lot of our viewers and our listeners of the show, and it's just watching the games, placing live bets, hopefully winning more of them than not, sharing a few beverages as well. A lot of people bring a little adult beverage onto the scene as well on these Betcasts, or a few in my case. But nevertheless, it's a lot of fun. And like I said, we're excited about this. This is going to be the last one we do for a while because of obviously the Olympic break. So get on board. Join us tonight for the live Betcast, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And again, DM or email me or Alex for a spot to join us on the Betcast. Although we do have preferential treatment to our Patreon members.
For those who signed up for Patreon, and we've had a lot of new signups. You may not know this, but you get carte blanche. You get front of the line access to joining us on the Betcast tonight. So anybody can watch it, of course, on the regular YouTube. But if you want to join us on screen, you get ahead of the line of everybody if you're a Patreon member.
So StreamYard now offers an ability to have more than 10 people on the stream at once, but you need to upgrade your subscription to StreamYard to do that. So I'm going to put out a challenge to everyone. More Patreon subscriptions and memberships in the months ahead, and we'll upgrade that subscription. We won't have to worry about a 10-person limit and a 10-person capacity with the Betcast. So there's your challenge right there.
Let's get to 500 paid members by the opening night of the Stanley Cup playoffs. If we can do that, maybe that'll be enough to where you can open up that room a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's the challenge here to all of our great viewers and listeners of the show. But excited about the Betcast tonight. We were talking, Alex and I, before the show started, that there's some good live spots tonight. Spots that are even better from a live wagering standpoint with some of these games tonight than pre-games. So all the more reason to join us for the Betcast. And like I said, we'll probably find some good live betting spots. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some guys, more players that score 2 goals, and we'll be able to jump on some more live hat tricks. And boy, oh boy, we've certainly been doing that here a lot here the last month or so, where it's been this big time hat trick binge in the NHL. Before we get into the recap, we haven't seen Alex for a couple days, between technology and internet issues and that wonky foot of his, they've missed him here for the last couple of days, but he's finally back. Alex, good to see you. How are things going?
Well, better today. Like I said, a little less pain today, so I can get through both shows today and tonight. But obviously, we saw a lot of crazy stuff. We saw that Wild Stadium series. We talk about how overblown some of these outdoor games can be, but this was a very entertaining one. And it's like the teams kind of bought into the situation, right? They knew they weren't just treating this like a regular old game. And these are 2 teams that easily could have done that, both fighting for playoff position, division rivals. They could have just taken this as, this is business as any other game. Let's play our regular old 60 or 60 plus minutes. They bought into it. We saw everybody getting dressed up. You had the Bucks wearing the creamsicle uniforms, the Patriots as Patriots. Of course, Tony Montana, he thought he was Tony Montana. He looked more like Frank with John Cooper and his assistants. That was just absolutely hilarious. But that made for the excitement of the game. If we're going to continue having these outdoor games, we need the teams to buy into it just like Tampa and Boston did. and make it an event and treat it like it's a little bit higher of a game. Yes, in the middle it's game 58 of 82, but to put on a show for the fans and put on an actual showcase for the league, they did that. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So I didn't get to talk about that the other day, but I was pleasantly surprised and really did enjoy it. Even though I didn't win the bet that I had, it looked like it was going to be coasting 5-1 Bruins. But still, an entertaining game. If you're a hockey fan, that's what you want to see from those outdoor games, those one-off events.
Yeah, we've talked about the outdoor game, theme has gotten a little bit stale the last few years because there's just so many of them. And even I was saying, all right, here we go. I'll put it in. And look, it's the good thing is it was a very light Sunday night in sports overall that, there was a lot of opportunity to just put this game on. But even I wasn't overly excited about it going into it. But then obviously it turned into one of the greatest outdoor games the NHL's ever had since they started doing the outdoor games. It was just absolutely bonkers, absolutely insane. With the Boston Tampa Bay game, you had a goalie fight. You had Vasi and Swayman throwing down. You had obviously the huge comeback. Tampa left for dead. Down 5-1 at one point, roaring all the way back to win 6-5.
How about the weather cooperating?
Yes,
coldest temperatures and ages in Tampa, and like somebody said in the chat, made for good ice, and that's why we usually look at unders in those spots. But the ice was fantastic. They had to actually warm the ice at one point. It was so damn cold. So you can't ask for anything more than that when you're talking about an outdoor game.
Yeah, no question about that. It was an unbelievable game. It was exciting. And last night, it was pretty exciting in the NHL. We certainly had some interesting games overall on a big Monday slate. It was a bigger slate than usual for a Monday last night. And it ended up being, another winning night. It's been just such a great season for me. We're closing in on 60 units personally of profit this year in the NHL. It's been spectacular. It's just been, this is getting to the point now where this could be a career best season for me. In the NHL. It's reaching that stratosphere right now. It's been phenomenal. Last night, we put another plus units night on the board. One of the reasons why was Ottawa. We took a small shot with Ottawa. They beat Pittsburgh 3-2 in that game. We almost had the draw. I would have loved it if Ottawa had saved that game-winning goal for overtime. But nevertheless, a nice win there for the Ottawa Senators, 3-2. That's 4 in a row for them. They're playing well. And all they had to do was get a little goaltending. We've said this for weeks on this show. Their statistical profile's not that bad. It's actually a statistical profile of a team that should have a better record than they do. And all that was letting them down was getting those bad goals going in, and just not good enough goaltending, especially from the Merrilainen, Shepard, and at times Reimer group, when they were in there and Allmark was out. But give Ottawa credit. They're on a nice little run. And from all the quotes I'm reading, they want to go pedal to the metal going into the break here. Like they want to keep this going. They want to try to at least give themselves some sort of a puncher's chance to get back into the playoff race. Before the break. So they're in action tonight against Carolina on a back-to-back. We'll see how they fare. The Washington Capitals, 4-1 win over the New York Islanders. Clay Stevenson in net. No Thompson, no Lindgren, no problem. Played very solid, gave up just the one goal in the victory, and a nice 4-1 win for the Capitals there as they have now started to right the ship again after a swoon that they had. And this is another team, Spencer Carberry in Washington, just like I talked about with Ottawa. All the quotes are desperation, urgency. We need to keep stacking wins, stacking good days. And Washington's trying to do that because they're currently on the outside looking in right now. But nice win there for the Caps, 4-1. I did take a small live over, fell short, but got to give Stevenson credit. Played very solid, and the team I thought in front of him was real good as well. The more I watch, the more it looks like a new Buffalo Sabres team. Doesn't it look that way? I mean, my gosh, down 2-0, and you think, Florida, look out, the great start, 2 goals quickly in that game, but Buffalo erases the deficit in the opening period, ties it at 2, and then from that point on, they find a way to win 5-3. Although they got outplayed, the run of the play was definitely against Buffalo in that game. Shots at one point were 40-20, almost double in shots for Florida, but Alex Lyon, they call him the Lion King right now in Buffalo for a reason. Gosh, he was spectacular last night, absolutely spectacular. And by the way, no sweat with the saves prop, and I don't bet many of those. That's more Perlo's domain. That was as easy as it gets. Alex Lyon over saves in that game last night. So, like I said, Buffalo, a great win. We had Buffalo money line, 5-3, another disappointing loss. And it's one of these losses, too, for Florida, where every single defensive breakdown came to bite them. Came back to bite them. It ended up in the back of their net every single time. Another meandering performance from goalie Bob. And That's been part of the issue, too. He hasn't played as well. The injuries have mounted. It's already bad enough, obviously, with the likes of Marchand and Lundell. There was a scare with Sam Bennett in that game last night, but looks like he's going to be okay, and he is okay because he's just been announced as a guy that's going to replace Anthony Cirelli on Team Canada at the Olympics. But great win there for Buffalo, 5-3 over Florida. Not much more to say about Montreal, Minnesota, other than the gift that keeps on giving. Gave us another gift yet again. First period over, full game over, no problem. First full game over, best bet. Everybody had that full game over as a best bet on the show yesterday. Patrick, Perlo, and me as far as best bet yesterday, and it all came through with the Minnesota over streak continuing. It's now an incredible, 17-2 in the last 19 games. Just crazy stuff with the Minnesota overs. And Minnesota gets it done in overtime with a Kirill Kaprizov power play goal. It was a 2-goal night for him. We didn't get anything from Caulfield. A lot of us liked the Caulfield props last night, thinking he'd be making an impact offensively, trying to send a message, if you will, to Bill Guerin, but he did not get on the score sheet, at least from a goal-scoring standpoint. But nevertheless, a 4-3 Minnesota win. And don't look now, they're suddenly, the door's open for them in the Central. You know, they're only a few points back. Now, Colorado does have 3 games in hand, but this Colorado stumble has kind of opened the door here for Minnesota a little bit in the Central, but they get a 4-3 win against Montreal. Crazy game in Nashville. We thought 5-1 is now becoming the new bad lead to have, apparently, in the NHL. It was 5-1 Boston. They blew it and lost 6-5. 5-1 St. Louis last night, and they lose 6-5 to the Nashville Predators. Shutout to Patrick Murray. What a bargain bin special call for him. Steven Stamkos didn't have a goal until the third period, and then bang, bang, he gets 2 goals for the bargain bin special to hit for Patrick Murray, which was Steven Stamkos over 1.5 goals at 13-1 plus 1,300. Great price with that. Hell of a comeback for Nashville. Maybe they took a period or two to shake off the news of Barry Trotz's retirement, but they certainly did, and they carried the game the rest of the way. And just another, they've had many bad losses this year, St. Louis, but this was another one. Up 5-1. They lose 6-5. I was saying to Matt about his Dallas Stars, it's going to look like, geez, you just barely got past this Winnipeg team at home, 4-3 in overtime. It doesn't look so great. But when you factor in they're off a road trip, a bit of a dead spot in the schedule. I thought to grit it out and grind it out, when you played an okay game, not a great game, that's a good sign. That's good teams do that when they are in a tough spot. And Dallas was able to do that. What an unbelievable goal, by the way. Rantanen scored to give Dallas a 3-2 lead at the time in the third period. Just a dipsy dangle through everybody. Just incredible stuff. And Dallas gets the overtime win. How about Thomas Harley jumping into the play and potting the overtime winner for the Dallas Stars last night? Pitiful game through at least the first half for San Jose. They were just thoroughly outplayed and dominated by Chicago. They kind of made the final score respectable, but still the much better team. Chicago last night, they get the job done 6-3 over San Jose. Much needed win for the Hawks to kind of had a couple of losses here in a row. How about Detroit? Shut out by Colorado at home. Turn around and do the same to Colorado in Denver. 2-0 shutout win and a shutout for John Gibson. What a bounce back. What a response for the Detroit Red Wings. I wasn't totally convinced they were going to win that game, but I certainly liked them early. We cashed the first goal, first period. Detroit, first period money line. But credit to them. They followed through and hung on for the full 60 minutes, and 2 goals was all they needed to take care of Colorado 2-0. And the reason I thought that spot they were vulnerable, Colorado, too, was because they were coming off that road trip, and Detroit is able to take advantage of it. Utah 6-2 against Vancouver. Figured Utah might be able to beat up on somebody inferior after a couple of tough losses in a row, which Utah had, and they were able to do that. 6th spot on the board against Vancouver, 6-2. Another hat trick. It's been a month of hat tricks, and Nick Schmaltz has a hat trick last night for the Utah Mammoth, easily cashing the team total over 3.5 there in that Utah game. And last but not least, not easy for Toronto, but they hung on to beat Calgary 4-2. Word of no lie, this might have been the best game I've ever seen William Nylander play. Like, this was ridiculous from him. He was involved in everything, every goal. He could have scored a hat trick last night. He could add 5 or 6 points for the Leafs last night. Boy, was he by far the best player really on either team last night. And Toronto now, after the losing streak was snapped in Vancouver, they've now won 2 in a row. But all they did was what they had to do. You got to beat Vancouver. You got to beat Calgary, teams like that. If you're going to try to at least get back into the race, it's baby steps. Like I say, they've got a lot of more work to do, but a 4-2 win and a win against a team like that, you got to have it. And Toronto was able to get the job done. Alex, your thoughts on last night?
Yeah, it was like I said, busy night for a Monday, of course, with everything kind of compressed with the week wrapping up. But like I said, some interesting games, interesting results. Buffalo, Florida, like you said, that's a game Buffalo loses last year and the year before and the year before that and the year before that. You give up a goal 37 seconds in against a Florida team that even with all the injuries is still fierce. But to come back and hold on and fight, that's the second impressive win I've seen from them. There's been several impressive wins, but I'd say very impressive wins for me in the last 2 weeks, week and a half with this Buffalo team. That Toronto game, and even now against Florida. And like I said, yes, these are weaker teams in the Atlantic, but you're talking about the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. You're talking about a Toronto team that's been in the playoffs each of the last 20-something seasons. A place where Buffalo has it. And now you're winning those games. You're beating those teams. You're beating the teams you're supposed to beat, and you're winning games in fashions that you weren't winning in previous years. So like I said, it continues to be actually enjoyable to watch Buffalo now. We couldn't say at the beginning of this year that Buffalo was an exciting team to watch. They have become an exciting team to watch since the calendar flipped over to 2026 for sure. So that was big. Minnesota getting that second point in a nice win against Montreal. He said that's the gift that keeps on giving with that overrun. And just like I said, Caulfield was impressive, but couldn't get on the score sheet. Still, like I said, yeah, you kind of wondered at some point maybe he was gripping his stick a little too tight with some of the shots and chances that he was getting, knowing that he really wanted to kind of have a big game, especially being here with the snub of the Olympics. But that's another big win for the Wild. Can't take penalties in overtime, especially against a team like the Wild. They are so lethal and dangerous with the forwards and the skill that they have. Their power play is insane. You cannot give them a power play in overtime. And as soon as Deneau took that penalty, I knew that was pretty much curtains. But nice to hit the draw with that one. The Utah game was a lot of fun. For me personally, I had first period puck line. I had first period alternate team total over 1.5, and that's definitely something I'm going to look to hit more with Vancouver on these spots where they look like they're kind of lethargic. When they have their 3 and 4 nights, 5 and 8 nights, that's something you can definitely kind of dump in on, because I think that's a team that's just, they're free falling. Like they know where their position is, and they know they need to tank. And I think there's going to be a lot of, we talk about team totals for full games, but those team totals in first periods, team totals in certain periods, you have teams that play hot in the second period. I know Perlo likes to talk about that. Those are the ways you attack betting games involving Vancouver. And then last but not least, certainly the Hawks game. That was a lot of fun to watch. It's a little frustrating, though, to see the Hawks play a game like that, play that well, because here's a team, they're 53 points in the standings. The way that the Pacific's going to be a log jam, there's still room within the wild card, but they're not going to make a legitimate run. They threw away too many important points, in my opinion. They blew a lot of big games earlier on in the year that could have made them contenders, after this break. I think now the best chance you get is, okay, do you decide to tank? And especially with Florida kind of falling out of reach too, now you have possibly 2 lottery picks. But also the fact of, do you want to try and maybe play spoiler? You've got 2 more games against San Jose. You've got 3 more games against Utah. You've got games against Nashville, teams that are ahead of you that are in that race. So do you want to try and build yourself up and try to continue to compete and win and learn how to win and maybe ruin the fun for some of the teams ahead of you? Or do you just, pack it all in and say, hey, let's take our 2 lottery picks. We have a bunch of money coming off the books. We can really roll for it next year. So those were my takeaways from yesterday.
Yeah, no question. Like I said, Chicago is they're in the no man's land right now. They're not bottoming out, but they're probably not going to be close enough to quite get in. But like I said, they're in a season where you just want to see progress. You want to see a little bit, and certainly you've seen a bounce back season from his best season yet for Bedard, which is great. That was definitely something you wanted to see, and he has definitely taken huge strides forward this year. So
how fun was that last night? He was mic'd up on the for the Chicago feed. Maybe as well. I like to think most people were choosing the Chicago feed, but you had him mic'd up, and he was challenging Celebrini to a fight. He's like, "Hey, want to go for one?"
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Everybody's suddenly so bold now about dropping the gloves and fighting now when they see the likes of Bobrovsky and then the Delkoviches of the world and
Right?
Vasilevskis of the world fighting these
Why not?
goalies. He said, "Why
Why
the hell?
not?
We might do a little drop them at some
How
point."
good would that have been? Bedard, everybody talking about Bedard versus Celebrini all during the post game, or the pregame, I should say. Why not have them drop the gloves? How fun of a fight would that be to watch?
Yeah, that would be cool, especially when it's two guys that I don't think they've had a fight yet in the NHL, either one. So, like I said, and for it to the first one to be them going head to head, that would be funny. They might have just been kidding around, but still, they put it in everybody's heads, saying that when they were mic'd up that, hey, maybe we should see something like that. It would be pretty cool to see, two of the best players in the sport just throwing it down at some point in the future. Matt, obviously, how, Monday nights, I don't know. Sometimes it's a lighter betting night for you, but how did it go?
Yeah, yesterday was a little different just because we did have the big card.
Yeah,
obviously, with games coming to an end on Thursday, it's kind of a busy week. A lot of back-to-backs for teams. I mean, really, the lowest games Tuesday and Thursday, which is sort of uncommon at 7, and then 10 games Monday and Wednesday. So heavy betting week because we will have a nice little break, and I think the Olympics, as much as I enjoy betting, as I watch games, it's not as easy to bet. You get a lot of lopsided lines. You get a powerhouse, a top 14 playing Italy. It'll be -9 and random shit like that. So not as big on betting on the Olympics, but I am looking forward to enjoying those Olympic Games. As far as yesterday, pretty solid night, honestly. I had the overs in the Wild Montreal game, which came to hit. I actually had a same game parlay on that one, 1.5, 5.5. So that was a nice little hit. I had the over in the Buffalo Florida game, which obviously Buffalo scared me a little bit early. They looked a little flat, but coming back and scoring 5 goals on 20 shots is pretty impressive. I did have a couple. I think I had the over maybe in that Senators Penguins game that didn't quite get there. So that was an L. As far as the Stars game went, I watched the show yesterday. I know the consensus was draw, which obviously was a nice hit for everybody on the show. And then under, I actually felt a little different. Dallas is kind of on a roll right now. It's 5 straight wins, but during that process, they are giving up goals. Their offense and power play is definitely heating up, but 5.5, the angle to make it make sense was definitely the U.S. Goalie factor. You expect both goalies to want to play well, but just seemed, and it's interesting. That's the third 4-3 game for these two teams this year. So it was nice to get the over there. I told Ian, I live bet Dallas down 2-1. It just felt like they were playing pretty good hockey. It's like the third game in the last 6 or 7 games that one of the goals was a routine dump by Winnipeg, hits the ref, causes a lot of change. They get an on-man rush and they score. The broadcast was saying, had that gotten past the linesman, it's a routine puck retrieval by Miro. He likely gets that out. There's no big danger there, but obviously turned into a 3-on-1, and Winnipeg scores. So a little bit of bad luck there, but they were playing well. And again, especially at home, I feel like they're never out of it if they're within a goal or two goals even. And as they've shown lately, a 3-goal lead is also not super safe for them. They like to let teams back in.
It's not like Winnipeg hasn't blown any leads this season.
Yeah. So, no, but it was a good win, 2 wins there. And then late night, I actually, after the first period of Leafs, Flames, Canucks, Mammoth, I took a live bet. I think I got Mammoth, Canucks 6.5, Leafs, Flames 4.5 parlayed. It was like plus 160. And then that second period with the Leafs in Calgary, pushed that. And then obviously Mammoth, Vancouver's a team that I'm looking at over. It's just, they're giving up 6 goals to anybody in the league. So overall, really good night. A lot of good games. We've got a good card tonight. There's 10 games tomorrow. A lot of great looks. I'll actually be at that Dallas St. Louis game tomorrow night in Dallas. And then Thursday, we wrap up the pre-Olympic freeze with another 7-game card. So a lot of action to look at and excited to get into it.
No doubt. But before we get into that, as you guys know, on many weekends, Matty Robb is with his Reno Ice Raiders playing hockey, and he was playing a couple of games at home this weekend in Reno against San Diego, and on the second half of that back-to-back, our guy just happened to have a hat trick for his team, Reno, in a 5-1 win, and of course, when you watch NHL games, the post-game interview is a very common occurrence, especially with the guy that is called the number one star of the game. And sure enough, obviously, a guy that's had a hat trick has got a pretty fucking good chance to be the number one star of the game. And Matt Robinson was, following the Saturday win for the Reno Ice Raiders over San Diego. So he got to do the post-game interview. And let me put it this way. We might be making some history showing you this here, but maybe the first time I've ever seen a post-game interview where someone takes a swig out of a flask. I don't think I've seen that before. It is a absolute first. So here is our guy in action following a massive performance and a big win for the Reno Ice Raiders, 5-1 on Saturday. This is Matt Robinson doing the post-game interview with the voice of the team, does the games on the online stream we sometimes watch when Matt's in action. Here it is from after the game on Saturday
so we'll let
night.
you have that. Matt Robinson with the hat trick. I believe it's your second hat trick here in Reno, possibly third, maybe fourth. I don't know. You score so much. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Oh, I'll pick that up. No worries. Cheers, mate. Well done. How much fun is it to play with such creative guys here in Reno?
Oh, it's great. I mean, every year I've been here, we've, had a couple new guys come in, but they fit right in. It's just such a good group in the locker room. And obviously games like this weekend end up being a blast.
Sellouts both games this weekend. How fun is it to play in front of an electric crowd to charge you guys up?
I say it all the time. I mean, without our fans, I think there would be guys on our team that, reconsider playing, but it's such an unbelievable environment that every year, when the off season kind of slows down and we're getting back into it, it's like the excitement's so much there. And, sellout crowds like this make it all worth it. The fans here are the best in the league. So I love it.
Next weekend.
So there you have it.
That's
Matt
good stuff.
Robinson interviewed post-game and gets a nice little post-game shot of Scotch was in that, you said?
Yeah, it was Scotch, which, I'm I like whiskey. I drink a lot of bourbon. I'm a hazy beer drinker. But after a hockey game, usually a nice Coors Light is all you can ask for, something super light and watery, after playing hockey for 3 hours. So
it's not the NHL. This is a senior men's league here in Reno, Nevada. Trust me, professionalism is not the be-all, end-all. If you want to have a fucking drink after the game, you can have one, right?
Oh, yeah. And so a little smoky Scotch wasn't maybe my preferred first sip after a game, but when he offered it, hard to turn it down right there on the spot. So had to give it a little go.
Hey, you got
that's definitely not the thing you'd expect. That's definitely not the thing you'd expect when you open up a flask naturally to Scotch. But like I said, take what you can get in that spot.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was funny.
So there you go. Something you won't see every day, and our guy Matty Robb was involved in it. Post-game interview with a player and drinking out of the flask. Awesome stuff. All right. Hopefully we're drinking from the fountain of profits here tonight. That's not the best segue, but it's decent. I've done better. But there we go. A nice little segue for this Tuesday. On we go to the Tuesday slate. Let's rock and roll. Columbus, New Jersey. We've got minus 110 even money both sides here in this matchup. The total 6 shaded to the under here in this game. A couple injury notes. Jack Hughes is out and pretty much confirms that he's probably going to be shut down at least until the Olympic break. But what about his status for the Team USA now? That's the bigger question moving forward. But he is once again out tonight for the New Jersey Devils. Kirill Marchenko is a absence tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets in this game, as he won't suit up. So they will miss him, certainly. He's been great this season for the Jackets. Won't play on the top line for them. But we'll see if they can make do without him. They've certainly been playing well. We've talked about it. The coach bump has been real for the Blue Jackets. 8-1 is now the record for Columbus in 9 games since Rick Bowness took over as head coach. So we'll see if they can keep it rolling. I love the quotes from Bowness, too. He said because he didn't love what he saw against St. Louis. They won that game 5-3, but he said, I didn't love parts of our game. He says, we got to work on things. They had a hard practice yesterday. Stay on our toes, keep the pedal to the metal. He says, Still got a lot of work to do, still got a lot of improvement to be made here. They know where they're at, and they have closed the gap. They've got themselves very much in the hunt again, 4 points back of the third-place Metro team, which right now, of course, is the New York Islanders. So they're very much back in the race again with this 8-1 stretch. But I like Bones saying this. Keep everybody on their toes. Keep everybody dialed in, focused. No exhaling. No, patting yourself on the back for a nice 8-1 run. No, there's still a lot of work to be done if you're going to try to make the playoffs. I like that mentality. Look at this Devils team. They're coming off a 4-1 loss to Ottawa. They're 1-3 in their last 4. The only win was an overtime game, just barely, against Nashville by a score of 3-2. I think the price is cheap here for Columbus in this game. Now, I know New Jersey's played them well. New Jersey's 7-2 in the last 9 meetings. New Jersey beat them on New Year's Eve in Columbus, 3-2. But Columbus did get the win in New Jersey the one previous time they came here to Prudential Center, 5-3. Back on December the 1st. We'll see how this one plays out, but I like Columbus here. I'm just riding it. Talked about how, been riding this team for not every game, but most games since Rick Bowness took over. I think they get the job done here. Columbus -110. I don't even mind that it's Elvis Merzlikins in net. This guy now 4-1 in his last 5 starts with a 2.49 goals against average, and it's not like we trust Jacob Markstrom hand over fist compared to Elvis. He's had a up and down type of season. So I'm on Columbus here. Nothing with the total. Maybe during the Betcast tonight we'll get involved with the total, but nothing with it pregame. And I have to point this out. Get on some Isaac Lundestrom player props tonight. He is going to be on that right wing side on the top line, filling in for Kirill Marchenko tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Not to mention he did get on the board in the last game. He scored a goal for Columbus in the win against St. Louis. So he scored in the last game. He'll be with Fantilli and Marchment on the top line tonight. So Lundestrom's props are worth a look. Kent Johnson, too, because he scored last game, and he's been better and getting more chances under Rick Bowness. And, of course, Charlie Coyle. I know he finally didn't score, the last game against St. Louis, but still been playing well. So there's definitely a good chance that the Blue Jackets props are worth a look once again here. Alex, what do you think? Columbus, New Jersey.
We're finally at the point of the season now. It's last week of the Olympic break, and of course, once we get out of the Olympic break, where you just take what the bookmakers give you, ride the hotter team, and at this price, you have to go with Columbus. That's a spot that I definitely love. But I like them, like I said, with those quotes coming from Bowness as well, saying, "Hey, we played well, but we need to play better." This is a great candidate for first goal, first period. I've got that pregame plus 25. I got a small piece of the first period over, -122. Of course, it's a Betcast night, so we can wait for that to cross over in the plus money territory as well. Go a little heavier with that. So those are my 3 plays with this one. Columbus money line, first period over, like I said, shaded a little bit more in game, and first goal, first period for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, and there's some good New Jersey value, too. Like, even though I'm on Columbus, doesn't mean you can't bet the other team and some of their props. Gricic and Lenny Haminaho are going to be on the second line with the captain, Nico Hischier. So with Haminaho, the Finn, and Gricic, there's probably still some value. And we've got Cody Glass Repair, Cody Glass Replace. We have him, and we have Connor Brown now with Timo Meier, it looks like, on the top line for New Jersey tonight. So there's definitely value with Brown and with Glass here tonight as well, assuming they are indeed on that top line as it's currently listed at the moment. Maddie, what do you think here in this one, Columbus, New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm going to ride with Columbus as well. I think, since Bones just got there, it's been a big boost for them. They're playing well. And I just don't think New Jersey is in great form right now. Obviously, without Jack Hughes, makes things even worse. It does weary me about a full game over. I do like the first period over as well. But the full game, I just don't know if New Jersey really chips in much here. So what I'm going to do instead, since it's a good price, even on the money line, -110, I'm going to split it though with Columbus -110 money line, and then Columbus to win in regulation. I don't really see this going to overtime. I think Columbus, I would even consider a puck line here, but just on the off chance, we get a 1-goal win. Maybe it's 3-1 and New Jersey scores a goal with empty net with 8 seconds left and Columbus wins 3-2, something like that. So I'll have Columbus on the money line, Columbus on the 3-way line, and the first period over in this one.
Yeah, Mason Marchment for What the Puck NHL in our chat. Yeah, no argument. He's on the top line. You're still getting a good price. You're not getting bargain bin prices anymore with Marchment. That's why I'm kind of mentioning the others.
Not for one goal.
Bigger bang for your buck. But exactly. You could always go with the multi-goal look there as well. Also, it looks like for Columbus, Dante Fabro, by the way, defenseman, he's a game-time decision right now, so they'll know right before puck drop if he is able to be in the lineup here for the Blue Jackets. But other than that, like I said, Marchenko is definitely confirmed out. Lundestrom will take his spot. All right, Ottawa, Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 180 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. And by the way, regarding Columbus, tells me how good they're playing too, with the fact that I don't normally back a team with the rest disadvantage, but they had it against St. Louis and they still won on a back-to-back. This one and it's a great segue to this game because I'm very interested in trying to back the team on a back-to-back here, Ottawa. Even though Carolina's been off since Sunday, I watched most of the Carolina-LA game. It was the only game on Sunday afternoon. They certainly carried the play. They heavily outshot the Kings, but didn't finish many of their chances. They let the Kings hang around. Sure enough, and the thing with Carolina is there's games where they're only going to give up 13 shots and 20 shots like they did against LA. But some of these shots, even in the low shot allowance games for them, they give up a boatload of great chances. Some of those low shots, though, are glorious chances sometimes. So that's been a little pattern I've noticed here with Carolina. And even though they come into this game on a nice 6-2 run in their last 8 games, they beat New Jersey, who's struggling. They did beat Buffalo, but 2-1, it was anyone's game. They lost to Chicago at home in a shootout. They beat Ottawa when they were badly outplayed, badly outchanced. And it was just one of those nights. Again, the goaltending let Ottawa down when Carolina beat them in Ottawa just a couple weeks ago. The Utah game, they just escaped 5-4 and just escaped. They were down 4-2 in the third period, came back to rally and win that game. It was a brutal loss for Utah. They lost 4-3 in an overtime game against Washington, couldn't hold the lead. And then again, they have a 2-0 lead against LA, and they can't hold the lead against the Kings of all teams, and it goes to overtime. So just, you're not getting a clean, crisp, dominant start to finish 60 minutes at the moment from Carolina. I think there's value here on Ottawa. Ottawa won in Carolina last year, 3-0. And in the last 4 games, Ottawa has outshot every opponent heavily, as well. And 2 of those teams were good teams, Vegas and Colorado, then New Jersey, and then Pittsburgh. Say what you will about Pittsburgh's having a great season. So to beat Pittsburgh 3-2 last night, who were playing great hockey themselves, and outshoot them at 31-16, hold them to 16 shots, you're doing something right defensively now if you're Ottawa. So I'm going to take the plunge here and take a shot with them at plus 150 in this game. I just think a little overpriced here, and that's what you get with Carolina at home. I get it. You're minus 200 in this kind of a range against, maybe a team that's not in great form right now. And Ottawa obviously was struggling, but now they've won 4 in a row. And even if it is Reimer tonight, and I think it might be because it's back-to-back, although that hasn't been confirmed, and I'm sure with the break coming and with how fresh Allmark is, he's very much considering Travis Green running it back with Allmark tonight. I have no doubt. I think that's what the hesitation is in confirming the starter, because he's fresh. The break's coming up anyway. Ride the hot hand that is Linus Allmark. He's been great, since he's been back in these 2 games. So I think there's a chance it could be Allmark on a back-to-back. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Regardless, I think the value is Ottawa, and I took him at plus 150. Alex, what do you think here? Sens, Canes.
Yeah, this is a dog and draw spot for me. I grabbed plus 150 this morning on the Sens. I got draw plus 360 at Bet Online. That's best price available. You don't see those prices too often these days. Also liking Sens to win in overtime or shootout. Got plus 600 over at FanDuel. Dylan Cousins to score that game winner, also at FanDuel at 75-1.
All right, Matt, what do you think here? Ottawa, Carolina.
Yeah, I think I could make a case for Ottawa as well. I don't know if I'll jump on it. I think just given that there's a decent card, this is more or less a pass game, but I did mention a bet involving this game on my Beyond the Lines episode this morning, so I'll go ahead and mention it here. So what I did is I parlayed this game at over 5.5, and then the Seattle Ducks game at 5.5 that we'll get into a bit later at plus 165. So those are 2 games that I love. 5.5, 6.5 is a little juicy for me, just on the off chance we get, a 4-2 final in this game. Again, I could see it being Ottawa. But yeah, that's my only play involving this game is the parlay with the Ducks Seattle, both games at over 5.5.
That makes a lot of sense because I'm kind of with you. I think at 5.5, I like the overs, and at 6.5, I'm a little put off by the overs in both of those games, Ottawa, Carolina, and Seattle, Anaheim, for that matter. But putting them together at 5.5, I could see why you'd be wanting to do that. No question.
It's a good night to attack totals that way. We'll be talking about a high total a little bit later, so it makes sense to kind of combine and parlay some of these totals.
Yeah, no question. As far as props tonight, Timmy Stützle has scored in 3 straight games for Ottawa, so if you want to ride that wave, you can. Aho in back-to-back games. It is worth noting, and you mentioned Dylan Cousins to score the overtime winner. He has indeed scored in 5 of the last 10 games, 2 of the last 5 games for Ottawa, so he has picked it up a little bit offensively here of late in recent games. You look at Ottawa's lineup tonight, it's going to be pretty much status quo. You're not going to really change a winning lineup that much. But yeah, Batherson, Stützle, Giroux, Tkachuk, Cousins, and Ridley Gregg, the top 6. For Carolina, Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, Hall, Stankoven, Blake, the top 6 here for them. So not a whole lot of changes there. Nikishin, by the way, I want to point him out because he scored from the blue line in Carolina's last game against LA. And he's gotten a couple of points here of late and starting to, maybe get a little bit more involved in the play. So keep an eye on him. There is some offensive talents there with him on the back end. Bussey is likely going to be in net for Carolina. I think it's safe to assume it will be him in net. Not confirmed, but I would expect Brandon Bussey to be the starter here for the Hurricanes. All right, Washington and Philadelphia. Philadelphia minus 130, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I should be all over Philadelphia here in this game. I should. They've lost a bunch in a row. You got to put your foot down, and now you get a chance to face a Washington team that could be down to their what now? Their 4th goaltender in the organization here tonight, because it looks like Logan Thompson's still out on IR. Charlie Lindgren's still on IR. You're not getting either of those guys back. You went with Clay Stevenson last night, and he played great. And I know if you're Spencer Carberry, you're probably tempted to go right back to him because he was so solid. But do you want to throw a young goalie like that in a back-to-back at the NHL level? That's not an easy decision to make. But the alternative is, well, you could do that, risk putting him in a back-to-back, which is rare for him. He's never done that before in the NHL, although he played, I thought, very solid and didn't even play that bad against Carolina, when Washington came back to win that game against the Hurricanes. I thought he played solid in that game. So Stevenson, believe me, if I'm Carberry, I'm tempted to run right back with him. But at the same time, you don't necessarily want to push the envelope. A young goalie like this on a back-to-back 2 straight nights in the NHL. But the alternative is putting in the guy you've called up, Garen Bjorklund, here for the Washington Capitals tonight from Hershey. And you start to look at his numbers down in Hershey, and this is what you get when you're talking about a 4th goalie in the depth chart in the organization. Like his numbers down in Hershey are like over 3 goals against, sub 900 save percentage. Hell, he's a guy that actually started some games in the East Coast Hockey League affiliate earlier this season as well for the Washington Capitals. So, and his numbers there were okay. They weren't great. So, now is Stevenson you've been able to hold the fort with Stevenson. Will you be able to hold the fort with Bjorklund if he starts tonight for Washington? That's where the concern comes in. This could be a little too much to ask now if he ends up getting the start here for Washington. So this is a great game for the Betcast. Phenomenal game for the Betcast. There's no need to bet it pregame. Let's use in net first for Washington. That's number 1. Number 2, let's see how they're playing in front of the goalie. Is Philly swarming them? Does Bjorklund look a little, if it's him, does he look a little bit shaky here in this game? Does Philadelphia finally get off to a good start? Because that's been a fucking problem. The Saturday game, I expected a good start after a few losses in a row. It's Los Angeles, for crying out loud, coming in on a body clock game, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, and you're down 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. That's a bad job by Philly. Let me see that you're ready to start on time for a change. So all kinds of elements, Alex, that point to this game being let's wait for the Betcast. Let's see how it starts, and let's make some betting decisions and moves from that point. What do you think here, Alex? Washington, Philly.
Yeah, completely agree. And this is one of we were talking about that in the in our chat earlier today. But like talking about Garen Bjorklund, he's a guy who I think his upside is still high as far as his career goes. He had an incredible season last year. Like I said, in the East Coast Hockey League, had a 21-4-3 record with a 2.02 goals against. Like I said, struggled a little bit as the backup in Hershey. And like I said, if you were to play Clay Stevenson, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because talking about he's coming from a league and specifically a franchise and division. We talk about this a lot when we talk about AHL call-ups. You look at the Pacific and you look at that Atlantic division. They play a lot of 3 games over the weekend, so back-to-backs. So goalies get back-to-back games often. So this wouldn't be the worst spot in the world to run Stevenson again, especially since you're heading towards the break. But, you know, they feel like they're going to give Bjorklund a shot. And this is a kid who, at some point in time, I think will be an NHL, you know, backup 1-2 option. But right now, this could be kind of rough. So, like I said, I want to wait and see. But I'm leaning toward Philly first goal, first period. I haven't bet that yet. But that's, like I said, great time for a Betcast. That we can wait for that price to possibly go up and jump all over those things. If Bjorklund looks a little rusty, if he looks like he's giving some, not rusty, if he looks a little shaky rather, and he's giving up some rebounds and some chances that Philly could pounce on, we'll be able to attack that tonight.
Like I said, I've given the Flyers chances. You know how many, a couple times now I've said, oh, good Flyers spot. And, you know, just been disappointed. The LA game is the one that stands out. I thought that was a really good Flyers spot. And, you know, to come out like that and be down 2-0 in the first 10 minutes, it's concerning. So again, this feels like a Flyer spot. It's Washington off of 3 wins in a row and on a back-to-back. You couldn't ask for a better spot for Philly here tonight. It is a Flyer spot, and it's hard to back them. It's definitely hard to lay a price with them at the moment, considering the slow starts, the defensive issues, and even Vladar. You know, Vladar has been little shaky since he's been back, so he's obviously needed a couple games to find his form again. I like Vladar. He'll be fine. He's been good overall, but hasn't been as on top of things here in the first couple starts he's been back. So like I said, definitely it could be one of those games. Wait for the Betcast, and we'll go from there with it. I think if you like Philly, the first goal, first period, again, conceptually makes sense. But, you know, we said that about LA, and they get scored on twice in the first 10 minutes of that game. I will say from a prop standpoint, Konechny's on a roll. You know, multiple games in a row with a goal. Grabenkin on the top line with Dvorak and Konechny probably has some value as well right now for Philadelphia. For Washington, you've got Protas, Sortif. You've got Ethan Frank. They've all been chipping in lately. Even Beauvillier on the top line has chipped in a little bit for Washington. So a couple of definitely some decent looks. A get right spot for Mishkov, says Jonathan Davis. Goals in 2 of the last 3 games, 3 total. That true. And you got to think at some point, doesn't Mishkov have to like pick his game up? Like when your coach is saying you came into camp out of shape, and he did that. He said that publicly a couple days ago. Rick Tocchet was not scared to either. At some point, you got to take the onus on yourself and say, I got to be a better player for this team. Maybe we get that kind of effort from Mishkov. We'll see if that is indeed the case here tonight. Matt, what do you think here with Capitals Flyers?
This is probably a pass and wait for the Betcast game for me. Just don't have a big feel. I mean, honestly, pending goaltender situation, I think 6.5 is a little high, so I'd honestly lean under, but that can change quickly, you know, if we get sort of a minor league goalie playing in this game. So I think this is a wait and watch live, see if we can jump on anything. You know, if we get a fast start with no goals, maybe a first period over. If we get a slow start, a fluky goal or 2, maybe a live under, but pregame, nothing here for me.
All right, next up, we've got Penguins and Islanders. Even money, -110, and 5.5 the total now here in this game. 5.5 at some spots. There is 6 shaded to the under at others. Shop around for the total here in this one. Both teams on a back-to-back. Both teams off losses on the back as well. Islanders 4-1 to the aforementioned Clay Stevenson and the Washington Capitals last night, and Pittsburgh 3-2 to the surging Ottawa Senators last night. So both of these teams are in bounce-back mode here tonight in this game. I like the draw here. You know, you got 2 teams in bounce-back mode. I could definitely see this one going past regulation. Hell, we almost got overtime with Pittsburgh last night. You know, we've seen a lot of 1-goal games between the Islanders and Penguins. I'm just going back and I'm looking right now. 5 of the last 7 head-to-head meetings between these 2 teams have been decided by exactly 1 goal. So that, or actually, it is 5 of the last 7. So a lot of 1-goal games between them, head-to-head. This is actually series history over. It's 8-2, by the way, to the over in the last 10 meetings between the Penguins and the Islanders. I would have loved the over if we got the goaltenders we got for these two teams last night. If this was Shelov's versus Riddick, of course, both of those goalies played for their respective teams last night. I would have loved this over 5.5. I am still on it, but I don't like it as much. It's Sorokin and it's Skinner. It's the superior goaltenders for these respective teams. You know, Sorokin's obviously been better than Riddick, and I would say Skinner's been certainly better than Shelov. So, but I am still on over 5.5, just because of the fact we have seen, obviously, 8 of the last 10 go over, and because we're getting a 5.5, we're not getting a 6 or 6.5. So a small bet on the over and a small bet on the draw for me in this one. Alex, what do you think? Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Islanders.
Yeah, you were saying about if we got Shelovs and Riddick last night. Well, it wouldn't be a 5.5. That would have been a 6 and a 6.5 most likely. So lucky to get this price. And like I said, and even at the 5.5, you're laying $1.22, which is usually cheaper. Usually laying $1.30 to $1.35 when DraftKings post these 5.5s nowadays. So I'm on that over as well. I take a little shot with the correct score, 3-3 tie at 1,300 to go along with that draw at plus 315. And this is one where I don't have a side play. I don't have anybody to win an overtime or a shootout. Don't have a goal scorer, but I do like the draw here and liking that over as well.
I just went back and looked. It's also 4-0 run to the over head-to-head with the games in Long Island as well. So the games here and when the Islanders have hosted have certainly been trending over in the last few years as well. Matt, what do you think here? Penguins, Islanders.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot at the over just based on series history, but sort of similar. Two teams on back-to-backs, both teams playing their better goalie. You know, Skinner, during Edmonton, the fan base really wanted to see Skinner out of there, and then, you know, he gets to another team that I wouldn't call, you know, an elite team, and he's played really well. So his numbers have been good in Pittsburgh. So even with that said, I think 5.5 is a fair number. I think this is definitely a game at like 6.5. I would be pretty weary, but I'll take a small shot on the over pregame and then see if I can get a better price live. Maybe get a plus money price if we don't see goals in the first few minutes.
Yeah, a few props that I do like here. By the way, Matthew Barzal, 2 straight games with a goal. Igor Shinikov, we've talked about him quite a bit. 3 of the last 5, he's found the back of the net. 5 of the last 10 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's been good. I'm coming back to Ben Kindle. He didn't score last night against Ottawa, but he has scored 3 goals in 3 of the last 5 games, and you're still getting a good price with Ben Kindle here for the Pittsburgh Penguins here in this game tonight. You know, we've been waiting for Brazo has been knocked down, so because Brian Rust is back here tonight from his suspension. So Brian Rust retakes his rightful spot, his usual spot, alongside Raquel and Crosby on the top line for the Penguins here tonight. But yeah, Shinikov and Kindle are the ones. Mantha too. Mantha's picked up some offensive steam of late, so he could be someone to target. For the Islanders, I mentioned the 2-game goal-scoring streak for Barzal. I'm going to go try again with Jean-Gabriel Pageau. This guy is suddenly, like, I cashed a bargain bin with him recently. He has been flourishing again offensively. He scored in 3 of the last 5 games, 4 of the last 10 games for the New York Islanders, and you can still get him in that plus 500 range. J.G. Pageau for the New York Islanders. He has certainly picked up his goal-scoring game here in recent games for the New York Islanders. So at that price, I think it's worth betting it. All right, Buffalo, Tampa Bay. This is actually, I like what Alex said. This technically a national TV game, but this is the streaming platform, ESPN Plus, and you know the boomers, they can't find it half the time. But never, the 80-year-old hockey fan is going to have a hard time pulling up ESPN Plus on his television. Let me put it that way. So it's like, that's why it's like a pseudo nationally televised game when we consider it. But it is on ESPN Plus exclusive. Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Lightning minus 190 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Now it's back-to-back for Buffalo, and they're off a monster comeback win against Florida, 5-3. That's the concern. You want to back them again on the second night of a back-to-back. But they weren't happy with their performance or their effort. You know, Lindy Ruff talked about it. Some of the players talked about after the game. You know, we didn't play great last night against Florida, and we needed Alex Lyon to kind of bail us out and really carry the day for us because Florida was peppering him most of that game. Lyon was tremendous. Buffalo knows they could play better than they did last night, even though they got a big win against Florida. And I think there's a chance they might play a better game here, even on a back-to-back. And they are 6-3 in the last 9 meetings against Tampa Bay. You'd be surprising to see that, but they have played the Lightning very well. But more than anything, this is not so much about Buffalo, a bet on spot, because I think Buffalo, obviously at this price, a team that's 21-5 now in their last 26 games. Buffalo, obviously 21-5 run at this price, you're interested. But this is not for me so much a bet on Buffalo here. This is the mother of all fade spots for me with Tampa Bay, especially early. I mean, my gosh, Sunday with the pomp and circumstance of the outdoor game, the Stadium Series game, coming dressed as Tampa Bay Buccaneers, football jerseys, football uniforms, the big, pregame introductions, John Cooper dressed, like a character from Scarface, the crazy, intense, emotional, nasty, chippy game that Boston Tampa Bay turned into on Sunday, the fact that they were down 5-1, left for dead in that game, and then come all the way back, exhaust all that energy and emotion and intensity to come back and beat Tampa, or to beat Boston 6-5, and you throw a goalie fight on top of that with Jeremy Swayman and Andrei Vasilevsky, and you throw on the fact that there's multiple injuries coming out of that game for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Cirelli ruled out tonight. Nick Paul, one of my favorites on this Tampa Bay Lightning team, also ruled out and not playing here tonight for Tampa Bay. This is just an emotional hangover spot that I'd be stunned. I'd be literally stunned if there's not some sort of emotional hangover, especially early in the opening 20 minutes here in this game. So I like Buffalo here full game, but I'm way more bullish on the early looks on Buffalo here in this game. The Buffalo first goal, first period, I love that. I think they've got a real chance. Plus, with its teams on the back-to-back, we always say this. You got your legs early. That's when you got your legs is early on a back-to-back. Then maybe in the second period and the third period, the energy level drops. Fatigue does set in a little bit. Not saying it will for Buffalo, but that's another reason why I like the first period looks for Buffalo even more than the full game. You've got them still relatively fresh, the adrenaline of playing the back-to-back after last night, and I think Tampa Bay is at their most vulnerable and maybe sleepy, dopey, whatever word you want to call it, here in the first 20 minutes. So I love Buffalo first goal, first period, Buffalo first period money line. I will also take Buffalo full game money line, but I like the first period looks better in this game. I think there's a first period over. Buffalo is heating up big time with first period overs lately. I think it's now, 10-2 after last night to the first period over in their last 12 games. So first period over. I think I might make this a bifecta too, because it looks like we are going to see Colton Ellis in net for Buffalo on the back-to-back. UPL's hurt. I don't think Lyon is starting on a back-to-back, and Ellis he's all right. He's okay. He's had some good starts, but he's also had some shaky starts. So you could eventually see Tampa find the back of the net here too as well. So yeah, over bifecta and those Buffalo looks that I mentioned. First goal, first period money line, a little smaller on the full game money line in that plus 160, plus 170 range. Alex, what do you think here? Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we kind of the same direction. Like I said, this is just an incredible flat spot potentially for Tampa Bay, and like I said, getting these plus prices with Buffalo. Shout out to our guy Terry Edelman, who I think he grabbed plus 195 last night on Buffalo.
Oh, jeez.
He felt this was a disrespectful price, and yeah, that was a bit disrespectful. Like I said, Buffalo has played far better to where you shouldn't be lining them at near 2-1 favorite. In Tampa Bay, this is a potential Johansson spot as well. I'm all over Buffalo in this one. I have Buffalo tied to the over 4.5 for a parlay at plus 200. I have team total over 2.5. I got minus 115 earlier, but I still like it at minus $1.20 was the best price I found available. First goal, first period. I'm telling you with that one at plus 160. And I like both teams to score in the first period, plus 179. Those will be the pregame looks for the first period. I'll be, of course, looking for first period over in game tonight during the Betcast.
Well, I talked about all the injuries for Tampa. There is one for Buffalo. Zach Benson, he crashed into the inboards last night against Florida, favoring his shoulder. Game time decision, though. He has not been ruled out completely here for this game tonight. So, like I said, this is just, if Tampa Bay comes out roaring and they're up 2-0 in the first period, I'll just tip my cap and say, hey, bravo, gentlemen. Well done. But I think it's going to be a hard time asking Tampa to put that kind of performance together, especially early in this game. That wasn't just your ordinary regular season game. That had emotion, that had intensity. That was obviously a lot of effort and focus into that, and the big, the pageantry of the game as well on Sunday. It's not hard. It's not easy, I should say, to turn around 48 hours later and be sharp and be on your toes right out of the gate. Not to mention, Tampa Bay didn't even have a good start in that game against Boston. Boston hemmed them in. I mean, no, they did score the goal early, 11 seconds, but other than that, they got dominated in that first period by the Boston Bruins on Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. So I think another slow start for the Lightning could be in the cards here tonight. Maddie, what do you think here? Buffalo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I got Buffalo plus 170 early this morning. So I think it's just to your point. I know it's a back-to-back, but and they had a nice comeback win against Florida after being down early. But it is just sort of a letdown spot for Tampa. You look forward to those stadium games, those outdoor games for such a long time, and then that game comes and goes. You've got the Olympics on the other end of this. Like, it's just, one of those spots. Tampa's 35-14-4. They're not Florida that's like fighting to stay alive and potentially make the playoffs. They're kind of in a good spot. They've played well as of late, but it just seems like an easy game to kind of just, go through the motions and get ready for the break. So, I'll be on Buffalo. I did do a dog and team total split. So I'm on Sabres over 2.5 as well. I think they should have no problem getting to 3 goals. And even if they lose this game, I think they get to 3 goals. They've just offensively, that hasn't been an issue for them lately. But the bet I like the most in this game is first period over. I got in yesterday at minus 140. I know it's a little more juice than that, but 10-2 to first period overs. Tampa's about 50%. I think they were 5-5, maybe ahead of the Stadium Series, so 6-5, let's call it. So right around a coin flip for Tampa. But Buffalo 10-2. They're scoring goals in the first 10 minutes. I think Florida scored in the first minute yesterday. So I think we get to 2 in this one. I could even make a case, just because I like this one and it is a little more juice, to take first period over 2 and over 2.5 on the off chance we get 3 in the first. But I've done that before with games that I really like the first period over, but it, is pretty juicy. Still put a normal bet on the first period over, but then, maybe a half unit on 2 and 2.5. If you do get to 2, you're going 1-1-1. So, I think that's the main look here. I do agree. I like the full game over, but I might hope that we get a couple minutes and maybe grab it at 5.5, just on the off chance we get like a 4-2 finish. We cash and not push at the over 6.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I do want to mention too, there's a couple first period. These are small bets, just riding streaks. Ottawa, Carolina, Columbus, Jersey. I do have small first period over bets on both, because Columbus is on a nice first period over run, and then we've seen their games kind of slow down. And Ottawa's still on a 14-3 first period over run. Now, it didn't cash last night. Yeah. But like I said, still 14-3. So those are small bets, though. I don't love them, but because of those great strong runs with both Columbus and Ottawa first period overs, I did bet them both in those 2 games.
And I was say with the Ottawa Carolina one, that's one where I have circled for a live action as well.
Yeah. All the more reason to watch the Betcast tonight, because you're right. You're going to get more value. You can always add. You can never subtract. They always say you can never subtract, but you can always add.
That's right.
That's what they always say. It's a great lesson in life, no question. As far as props go for this one, Darren Radish, man, even though I like Buffalo, I mean, how do we not bet this guy to score? I mean, 4 straight games with a goal from the blue line for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's been incredible, obviously. Keep an eye on the lineups for Tampa Bay. There's going to be some shakeups, obviously. We know Brady Greco let us know about Dominic James for Tampa. And now all of a sudden, we maybe are interested with props involving him. For Buffalo right now, you look at their lineup. I would say at the moment, we'll see if Benson plays. I'd be interested in Benson, but if he doesn't play, someone will take that spot on the top line. Noah Ostlund's played pretty solid for them. Jack Quinn has started to light the lamp at least a little bit. Zucker, Tuck obviously recently had a hat trick against Toronto, but Josh Doan, there you go for Buffalo. He got on the board last night in the win against Florida. Matt knows him very well. Definitely, like I said, Josh Doan could be worth a shot. It was a great goal, too. It was a typical Josh Doan goal, going to the net front, going hard to the net. That's what makes him such a great player for this team. He goes to the areas you need to in order to score goals. All right, Toronto, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 180, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Sidewise, I don't know. I don't want Toronto on a back-to-back. They haven't really proven much other than they beat two shitty teams, Vancouver and Calgary. Let's see if you can beat Edmonton now. And Edmonton with a big rest advantage and coming off, getting embarrassed and bombed on home ice by Minnesota on Saturday, 7-3. So I know I don't want Toronto here on a back-to-back. And Stolarz, with how shaky he's looked in net since he's been back. And he's going to get the start here. This is only his third start, I believe, and he hasn't looked great in either one. The loss to Vegas, the loss to Seattle in his two previous starts. But I'm not laying minus 180 with Edmonton, not a chance. With the Connor Ingram and Tristan Jarry goaltending combination right now, frickin' frack for the Edmonton Oilers, and there's issues there, and they're not defending great in front of the goalies either. The defense is culpable with some of these issues. They've given up 3 goals or more in 4 or 5 straight games on this homestand, the Edmonton Oilers. Even if they want to commit to better defense after giving up 7 to Minnesota, are they capable of it? Or the goalie's capable of keeping the puck out of the net? So obviously, look, Toronto is on a good first period overrun. It's 5 straight first period overs for Edmonton as well. But this is a Betcast night. You can just wait. The prices suck anyway for first period over, full game over. So that's what I'm doing. I'm waiting for the Betcast tonight, see if we can get a better first period over, because I'm not laying minus 170. That's an astronomical price for first period over, unless you bet over 2 first period pregame in this one. But yeah, I'll wait for a live first period over, and I'll wait for a live full game over too, because I ain't laying minus 145 or 50, with an over 6.5 either. So this is definitely a great Betcast game. I'll get on my over by Fecta, but I'll wait for the Betcast to do it. Alex, what do you think here, Leafs Oilers?
I will pregame bet first period goal in first 5 minutes plus 152, just in the event that we aren't able to capture the prices we want for this total. But there's no way I'm going with an over 7. No way I'm laying 170 with a first period over as well. So that's the pregame look. Everything else will be live, but goal in first 5 minutes at plus 150. I'm surprised it's even plus 152. They could have easily made that a much lower price. So take what the books give you. We'll go with that just as a little bit of insurance, but hoping to get some better prices in game.
Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff there as far as that is concerned. As far as props as well for this game, I do want to point out a couple that are of interest to me here. It's amazing. Jonathan Davis, by the way, I want to point out something funny. Troy Stetcher is a BC guy, and he was obviously kind of let go, by Vancouver, and he really liked that narrative with Troy Stetcher against Vancouver for Toronto. He didn't score against Vancouver, but the very next game last night against Calgary, guess who scored for Toronto? Troy fucking Stetcher. The Alex B. Smith special strikes. He doesn't score for me when I like him the one game, and he scores the very next game when I didn't bet him. Yeah, right? That's exactly it. That's what happened with Troy Stetcher. It's uncanny how often that happens. Yeah, John, there you go. He waited one game too late to score that goal there for Toronto. That being said, he might be worth a look because he is playing more minutes. And Bobby McMahon's an Alberta guy, and I missed that last night. He got the empty netter for Toronto, and I missed on that, realizing he's from Alberta, and he's, of course, still playing in Alberta tonight, once again in Edmonton. So Bobby McMahon, might be worth a shot here for Toronto as far as goal prop tonight. Matt, what do you think here, Toronto-Edmonton?
Yeah, obviously very juiced first period, full game, things like that in this one. Don't really love either side. I would lean Edmonton, just, given the non-back-to-back. They are at home, but they're definitely not worth 180 to me. But I was looking ahead at this. This was one of the first period overs I really liked coming into the day. It's gone up. I actually saw it at 160 yesterday, so that took a couple bucks on that. But yesterday, when it was still a little less juiced, I did get a same game parlay, 1.5, 5.5 on this one, plus 104. So I don't think you'll get that price. It'll probably be closer to like a minus 110 if you parlay the two today. But I still like that look. But I think if you haven't gotten anything in, it's probably a good game to wait live. Unless, to Ian's point, unless you're going to take like an over 2 or 2.5, I'd recommend doing both and splitting it up because, in order for 2 to hit, you need 3. So you may as well have a little bit on both. But yeah, I mean, just given the juice, I think this is outside of the same game parlay that I placed last night. I don't have anything pregame for this one. I am interested in watching this game. I think it'll be a fun game to watch with a lot of goals, but just not a lot to bet right now, just given how juiced everything is.
No doubt. Good stuff. Here's one that this is from observations. He had a bunch of chances last night, and he did score. He did get one of the goals. Michelli. There could be someone to look at, too, for Toronto. But McMahon's the favorite goal prop. Yeah, Stetcher's a former Oiler. I think I might be tempted. They might reel us back in again. They've reeled Jonathan in with Troy Stetcher at plus 1,800. And, yeah, Edmonton's another one of these teams that cast him aside. You telling me the Oilers, by the way, couldn't use Troy Stetcher? Troy Stetcher's played he's actually been one of the better defensemen for Toronto since they got him. I'm not kidding either. He's played real solid for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Craig Berube can't stop saying good things about him. Edmonton couldn't have used this guy, couldn't have kept him in that game, or couldn't have kept him after last season. And he played pretty solid in the postseason for them at times, but I don't know. Just when you see Edmonton still having these issues with keeping the puck out of the net, you wonder about stuff like that. Sometimes. All right, last game. This is the second game of a TNT doubleheader. The first game I forgot to mention earlier is Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. The second game is Seattle and Anaheim. Anaheim minus 135, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. You told me October we'd be ending a Betcast with Seattle Anaheim. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? We got to end a Betcast with Seattle Anaheim? Really? But now you tell me Seattle Anaheim is going to wrap up the Betcast. It's a good game. Both of these teams are playing well. Seattle, the last few games, 4 games in a row they've won, 5-1 in their last 6. They're very much right in the wild card race in the Western Conference. New Jersey, Washington, Toronto, Vegas, the 4 wins for the Kraken during this 4-game win streak. Anaheim's rolling again. They had those 2 losses back-to-back against Edmonton and Vancouver, but still 8-2. In their last 10 games. They responded with a great win against Vegas on Sunday night, 4-3. These teams are, and it's big 2 points on the line for these 2 teams, of course, with where they're at in the standings. I like the draw here. I'm going to take a shot. I think this could be a 3-point game here between these 2 teams tonight, Kraken and Ducks. We'll see about the side. This is one where I think Anaheim live, because they are a bit of a comeback cardiac kids type of team this year, Anaheim. They have had some comebacks in the past that I'll look for Anaheim live if they're trailing, but I'm not going to lay minus 135 pregame because I do respect the way Seattle's playing. And it could be Grubauer tonight, not Joey Decord, because I'm seeing Grubauer projected. And believe it or not, he's turned back the clock, and he's given Seattle some of the best goaltending he's given them since he's been there, for the most part. He's been giving up 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals. There was one start that was a subpar for him against Utah. But other than that, Philip Grubauer's played a lot better, and it should be Lukas Dostal for Anaheim. So I like the draw a little bit, and I am on the first period over. Only the first period over in this game. You just have to keep riding it with Seattle, especially because Seattle's on a very, very strong first period over run. I'm seeing it as now 12-2 or 13-2 to the first period over for the Seattle Kraken. 12-2. 12-2 to the first period. Yeah. Yeah, they haven't played since Saturday, so it is still 12-2 to the first period over for Seattle in their last 14 games. So definitely like that first period over and the draw for me here. And anything else we do with this game, tune into the Betcast to find out. Alex, what do you think here, Seattle, Anaheim?
Yeah, I have that first period over circled as a live play for tonight, but pregame I am on the draw. I grab plus 327 at BetOnline, and I also have Ducks win in overtime or shootout plus 550 at FanDuel. Like I said, no reason to lay 130, 135. We can try and grab a full money line in game, but pregame I will grab that win in OT shootout plus 550.
All right, Matt, anything you like here? Oh, you already mentioned this is the second leg of that over 5.5 parlay that you have cooking tonight. Ottawa, Carolina in this game.
Yep. Yeah, that's one look that I like, and I do like the first period look here. Seattle's been hot to the first period overs. The Ducks are kind of a streaky team. They've consistently given up goals. Some games they're scoring 7, some games they're scoring 1. So, but I like 2 goals at least in the first period in this one. And then, like I said, 6.5, I don't love. I wouldn't probably take it. But at 5.5, I do like the over here. So maybe I'll take a shot with a first period over and then like a Matty Rob special on the off chance, we don't get to 5.5 in that Ottawa Carolina game, but we do get to 6 in this game with a first period hit. So maybe I'll have that Matty Rob special going here, but yeah, nothing else pregame. I know Seattle has had their struggles on the road at times. The Ducks have been sort of up and down and inconsistent, so I don't really trust either side. So yeah, just first period over and potentially a Matty Rob special on this one.
All right, there you have it. Good stuff indeed. As far as props in this game, only a couple. For Anaheim, Cutter Gauthier is streaky. You might be able to see him get going. Mikael Granlund could be someone to consider. Ryan Poehling is on the second line, and I'm telling you, he scored a couple goals. That could be a little bit under. He's gotten chances. That could be under the radar selection as well. Jared McCann's been red hot. 3 games in a row with a goal for the Seattle Kraken. Keep that in mind. He's definitely been heating up for the Kraken of late. I might just bet him because he's a former Hamilton Bulldog, and I see him on the top line or on the second line now with Tolvanen and Stevenson. Ryan Winterton played for the Hamilton Bulldogs, his junior hockey here, just down the road. So, like I said, could be something just a sentimental goal prop bet with him up on the second line here tonight for the Seattle Kraken. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. This is not the last you've seen of us today because we will be back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Ice Guys live Betcast, our one and only for the month of February. So make sure you get on board and join us for it. DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast, and we will send you the link for it before it begins. Although the VIP treatment goes to the Patreon members. Not first come, first serve, but they will get priority seating, if you will, in the Ice Guys live Betcast bar. So make sure you join us tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to the live Betcast. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Matt Robinson mentioned it. Beyond the Lines video. He does it every Tuesday. So make sure you check out that video with Matt Robinson. Daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions available as well. For me, at number 1 ranked at Wizard Sports Picks in the NFL and NHL. Profitable NBA season as well. So check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. Check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And I know we're going to have a break in the action with NHL, but we're going to go back to doing what we did during the summer last year. Days with no NHL. I'll still throw out a few plays. I'll put a little card together, some NBA stuff, some college basketball stuff. All my Olympic hockey wagers will be posted on the Patreon page as well. So we'll still keep some kind of betting card going for the Patreon members, even during the Olympic break without any NHL. So make sure you check it out. Again, just $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Get on board, just $10 per month at patreon.com/iceguys.
And also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got hats, we've got t-shirts, we've got hoodies. We will have some new merch coming after the Olympic break as well, so definitely stay tuned for that. But definitely check it on out right now, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night. Best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with my love is no one. Kings and Queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off with promo code ICEGUYS. All right, good stat by Jonathan won't be on the Betcast tonight. So there you go. There's going to be an extra spot available. Jonathan won't be able to join us tonight, but he did want to point out for the scoreless first periods. This is obviously something we've looked at a lot with live wagering. Scoreless first periods, the second period over 1.5 in games with a scoreless first period are now 25-13 since January the 1st. That's pretty damn strong. That's pretty damn good when you think of it. So again, scoreless first periods, bet second period over, and it's 25-13 since January 1st. So that's really good. Good stuff. Date night. Holy shit. Good stuff, Jonathan. Well done. Have fun. Awesome stuff. Yeah, enjoy it. All right. Let's rock and roll. It is time for a bargain bin special of the night. Thanks to Patrick Murray yesterday for getting the job done and getting, obviously, the bargain bin special with Steven Stamkos, over 1.5 goals. We'll see if we can keep it rolling here tonight. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
Yeah, I've got a pair of them. First, we will start with that Columbus game tonight. And I'm looking at Mason Marchment. Not once, but twice. We've been cashing a lot of these 2-goal props. He said, had Patrick Murray get it last night. We've been cashing, of course, the live hat tricks as well. I think we could be looking at grabbing some live hat trick prices with him because I like him to score 2 goals here. So Mason Marchment plus 1,900 to score 2 goals for Columbus. The second pick, go to that Philly-Washington game. Like I said, whichever goalie they throw for the Capitals, they're still talking about a minor league guy. It's either Clay Stevenson or it's Bjorklund making his debut. I'm looking at Denver Barkey to score a goal. You can get him plus 475 at a couple of different shops. Anytime goal scorer for the Philly Flyers. That'll be my second bargain special for the night.
All right, good stuff indeed for Alex B. Smith. 2 bargain bin specials of the night. Matt, what do you got for bargain bin special of the night?
I've also got 2, and there's a little bit of overlap in a way. So one of them, I actually also have Mason Marchment circled, but 2 points plus 400. So, I am going to sprinkle a couple bucks on 2 goals now that that's Alex's bargain bin, but just need 2 points regardless, playing on first line minutes, playing on the first power play. I like Columbus in the spot. I think New Jersey's not looking too hot. So, just Mason Marchment, 2 points plus 400. And then got to go with Old Faithful, Josh Doan. He scored last night. He's got 2 goals in his last 5 games. He hasn't been quite as hot as he was a bit ago because he has dropped down the lineup a little bit. But he's still playing on the first power play. He's still getting out there with the top 6 guys at times throughout the game. So, maybe his slowing down has been a gift and a curse because he's back in bargain bin material at plus 330. So Josh Doan, anytime goal, Mason Marchment over 1.5 points. Those will be my 2 looks for tonight.
All right, there you go. I like them, both of them. All right, I've got 2 as well. We're going to also go to that Columbus, New Jersey game, but it is not Mason Marchment for my bargain bin special of the night. No, we're going to a guy that's replacing Kirill Marchenko on the top line. The value's outstanding. He scored in the last game against St. Louis, and now he's on the top line. Isaac Lundestrom for the Columbus Blue Jackets, plus 575. The price, you can't argue with that. Plus 575 for someone playing on the top line tonight for Columbus. So Isaac Lundestrom, Columbus, plus 575. And my second bargain bin special tonight, I'm going to rock with Bobby McMann, the Alberta kid, playing in Alberta tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Edmonton Oilers. He scored into the empty net last night against Calgary, the other Alberta team, and hopefully he can find the back of the net here tonight once again. Plus 330, and again, he remains on the top line with Austin Matthews. So 2 bargain bin specials, Isaac Lundestrom, Columbus, plus 575, and Bobby McMann, Toronto, plus 330. For my bargain bin specials for this Tuesday night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's get on out to Newark, New Jersey. You got Columbus taking on the Devils. I like that first period over. Of course, we will be grabbing a little bit extra at plus money in-game, but pre-game, that is my favorite bet. First period over 1.5, minus $1.22 available at FanDuel. My best bet for this Tuesday night.
Good stuff indeed. All right, the Flask Man, Matt Robinson, best bet.
Yeah. Yeah, I debated on going in the same game. I really like Columbus tonight, but I think for best bet purposes, I know it's a little juicy, but I got to take first period over in Tampa Bay Buffalo. Buffalo's just been so hot to first period overs. I think it might be a letdown spot for Tampa Bay. So, maybe it's 2-0 after the first. But Tampa Bay at home is always dangerous. Maybe they get a power play or something of that sort. Buffalo's definitely not completely shutting things down defensively. So doesn't matter how we get it, just need 2 goals. But first period over in Tampa Bay versus Buffalo, that'll be my best bet for tonight.
Here we go. That's Buffalo, Tampa Bay, first period over 1.5 for Matt Robinson with his best bet here for this Tuesday NHL slate. My best bet, I'm gonna give you 2 best bets tonight. Don't do this every day. Don't like doing it every day, but when you just can't choose between them, you're gonna go with 2. And I don't think I want to leave either one off a best bet segment because I like both. I think they're best bet worthy, both of them. First one is Columbus. I like Columbus here. I think it's a cheap price for a much better team at the moment, a team that's rolling 8-1 since the coaching change. No Jack Hughes for New Jersey. Columbus minus 105, best price available for my first best bet. My second best bet, I really like this look. I think they pounce early, Tampa off the outdoor game. Buffalo first goal, first period, plus 160 against Tampa Bay. So there you have it. 2 best bets for this Tuesday slate. Columbus minus 105. Buffalo, first goal, first period, plus 160. For my 2 best bets here for this Tuesday. All right, great stuff. Betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, in just a few hours. We hope to see you then. Make sure you DM or email either of us, Alex or me, for a spot on the Betcast. We'll make sure we get the link sent to you before it begins. Matt's going to drop in for a little bit as well. We're going to have Perlo, the usual suspects. I'm sure John Massey will make an appearance at some point. The usual suspects here on the Betcast. Looking forward to it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll see you in a few hours, 7 p.m. Eastern for the live Betcast, and of course back tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.